Okay, so Gordon, I'm going to take you now to speak to your higher self, because you have some questions that you wanted to ask. And so I'm going to ask you to look in front of you now. And in front of you, I want you to see that there is an elevator. And just take a moment to greet your higher self. Take a moment now. And when that's done, let me know.
It's done.
And I'm going to ask now, Gordon, if you're happy for me to speak to your higher self. And I'm going to ask you to just step aside and allow your higher self to come in. And I want to talk to your higher self. Are you happy for that to happen?
Yes.
Okay, so allow that to happen now. And when it's done, nod your head for me. Okay, hello, Gordon's higher self. We've come here today because Gordon has some questions that he wants to ask you. Some questions that he's been pondering on, that he would like some answers to. Are you happy to answer those questions for Gordon today?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. The first question that Gordon would like to ask you is, what do I need to know right now?
Gordon needs to know that everything is okay. Everything is as it should be. And that there's nothing that he need do right now except to be who he is, to continue to do the work that he's doing. Gordon is constantly asking, what more, what else, what should be done, what changes. There is no need to change anything, nor is there any need to do anything other than what is being done. And so we ask that Gordon relax into this. That he shouldn't stress so much about what needs to be done. Because if he looks back across his life, he will realize that everything that needed to be done was done. And that Gordon is guided always. And so all he need do is trust his own intuition, trust his inner guidance, and understand that when something comes to him, it comes because it is part of that plan. He needn't find extra things to do. There's enough right now within the plan. Gordon put it into the plan, and he put enough in to keep him busy in this life. And so it's not necessary that he search out extra things. We understand why he does that, but it's unnecessary. And it might even cause some kind of confusion within the plan. And so we suggest that he just allow happen what should happen. And relax a little bit. That's all.
What can he do to relax? What things can he do to help him to relax?
Gordon could do well to let go a lot of the weight that he carries, the weight he carries for mankind. I think at this point in his life, Gordon understands that he really cannot take on the responsibility of the rest of humankind. Perhaps the last few years have taught him that it isn't his job to manage the pathway of mankind. But we still think that perhaps he has some internalization left to do on that. Once he allows himself to be free of that responsibility, the responsibility that he can never carry, that is impossible for him to carry, once he's able to let that go, he will find it much easier to relax. He's doing good work. He understands where he needs to go. Now it's time just to let go. To trust in his plan. His plan is not the plan of anybody else's. He's much better at it now than he was, but we feel that he will get better, and with every improvement, he will be more relaxed. That's all.
Does Gordon still feel that he needs to pay a penance for his earlier life?
We don't get that sense. We are aware Gordon is not proud of his earlier life, and that's okay. But he must understand that it was the earlier life that allowed him to get to this point in his life. It was through the experiences of his earlier life that he was able to become the person that he is. And were he to lose any of that experience, it would only serve to make him less than what he is now. But yes, we're aware of his embarrassment about his past. However, he doesn't need to pay penance, and he doesn't feel that need anymore. So he's okay. That's all.
Thank you. And I think that you've already answered the second question, but I will ask it in case there's any further information that you would like to pass on to Gordon. That is the path that I'm on the right one, is what Gordon would like to know.
It is your one. It is your path. It is the path that you, Gordon, have chosen. So how could we say any other than, yes, it is the right path? The idea that we hold about past, the idea that Gordon holds about the path, is slightly incorrect. We're aware that Gordon likes to control his behaviors. And that's admirable, that's good. But that controlling can sometimes allow him to think that therefore he has control over his path. And that is true, but not in this lifetime. The control over the path happens before we come to this plane. The control over the path happens when we create the contract before we come here. Once that contract is in place, there is no control. There is no need to control. And so we reiterate, the path that Gordon's on is the path that he must be on, for good, for bad. And so he needn't worry about whether he needs to change anything. Our suggestion is, rather than wanting to change or wanting to add extra things, that Gordon works on embracing what he has, embracing it fully, working with it to the maximum. That is how he can improve his path, not by changing it, by accepting it, embracing it, and fulfilling exactly what he knows he needs to fulfill. if something needs to be added to the path, it will be added. And Gordon, in this lifetime, in this body, will not have the choice in that matter. This life is one of acceptance. The role of our life is to accept. And so all that Gordon needs to do is accept. And all will be well. That's all.
Thank you. So Gordon is on the right path, and he needs to accept that he is on that right path, to surrender to the path that he has already chosen before he came into this body. Is there anything else, higher self, that you feel that Gordon needs to know now?
He should know that we are with him, that we support him, that we love him. That all is well. All is as it should be. All is okay. That is all.
5. When you're ready, opening your eyes. Just take your time. And tell me, how do you feel?
Oh. God, I was very deep there toward the end, dearie me. I was having hallucinations on the inside. It was really interesting.
Okay. Which part, when we were back in the garden?
When you were doing your kind of review, and I was just,
Yeah.
that's when I allowed myself to go. Obviously, it's not interactive, so I allowed myself to go very deep, and I was like, whoa, who's that fella looking at me? Like Freddie Bloody Mercury looking at me and chatting away or for whatever reason.
Excellent. What did he have to say?
Didn't really say anything. He was just chatting away, but the sound was off because it was your voice. It was just chatting away.
I sound like Freddie Mercury, do I?
Wow, that was lovely. Thank you, Vicky. That was incredible.
No, you're very welcome. It was really interesting, actually. Those dyes and those colours, I liked that. I liked that he was bringing colour. He was bringing colour into his parents' lives.
Sure, yeah. It wasn't until we did the life review and I thought, oh my God, it's my life. I've just lived my life. Obviously, I've done it twice, but obviously with differences. But it was really, that was a really interesting kind of realization of, oh, wow. Because when I was in it, I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all.
No. It's amazing, isn't it, how it suddenly comes to you and you think, well, yeah, okay, I completely get that now. But it's like this life is an upgrade on that life because you've taken it that step further.
Yeah, the sense I got was like, let's do that again.
Yeah, you didn't get it quite right.
Yeah, let's do
you
that
needed another few years.
Yeah. I mean, even the, traveling to the countries and all of that, that's what I did. And it was interesting. And, what was even more interesting, now I'm realizing, I spent 20 years working in textiles. That was my role. That was going to other countries, making stuff, making clothing. And he was kind of in textiles as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, bringing dyes to textiles. Wow.
So you did travel a lot when you did that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was, living in other countries and all of that.
And you thought it'd be exciting?
I thought it was going to be fascinating, and it was horrific.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fascinating. But just like him, I got to a point where I looked at my life and said, this is shit.
Yeah, this is not what I thought it was going to be. This is not what it promised. Yeah.
And I, you know, I'm not impressing anybody. Yeah. So it was good. It was funny, you know, he was obsessed with approval. He wanted the approval. He wanted people to see that he approved. And I used to be obsessed with that. What was the link I was going to say? Except when I was, because I had this good job, I was, you know, production director and everything. And my ex used to say, you don't tell anybody, when they ask you what your job is, you just say, I work in textiles. Why don't you tell them you're a production director? And I used to say to her, because I'm embarrassed to be talking about me and my job. I don't want to be showing off. You should tell people, because she was very 3D. But he loved it at the beginning. He loved that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, but it's what you think that you need to aspire to, isn't it? As you're younger and, I'll voyage around, go on a big ship, or I'll travel to different countries. That'll make me happy. But it's that same old, it's not the things that we do that make us happy, is it? It's that we have to be happy first, and then the wonderful things happen to us because of our happiness. It's not the things that we do or the things that we have that are going to bring the happiness in. It's that we have to find the happiness for those happy things, nice things to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. I think you know, you don't have to travel all over the world, although it's exciting, but you can find the wonder and the beauty of what's actually around you wherever you are. There's beauty everywhere we look, isn't there? There's excitement and there's learning and growth to be had everywhere. And sometimes those simple things can be the most beautiful and the most exciting.
Absolutely, yeah. And the whole story of John is I don't know if you've read the story of the alchemist. I don't know if you've read it. It's the hero's journey. And that is kind of another parallel I see of him coming back to the very place that he started, because that's where, and I suppose it's like you're saying about happiness, we're born with happiness, we forget it and we go off looking for it. Mm-hmm. And the secret is when we actually discover, oh, hang on, it's just inside of me. It's always been where I am.
Yeah.
And it's like that returning back, and it was he returned back to where he started. And that was
he the sheep herder? The Alchemist, was that the sheep herder?
Yes. Yeah.
I have read it. Sorry, I just forgot that that's what it's called, because he goes back and he finds his jewels, doesn't he, underneath
right where he started.
Yes, I have read it. I was just thinking I was going to order that book. Why haven't I read it? And then I thought I have actually read it. Yeah, it's a beautiful story, isn't it? I read it in about a day. I loved it.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful story, but it's the hero's journey. It's what every single person's on. Yeah, it was interesting. That was John's hero's journey. Mm.
Yeah, definitely, and ending up right back in that exact same bed.
Yeah, and being happy about it. He was really comfortable.
Yeah. Do you know, that's really poignant you saying about that, because it just made me laugh, because my dad always goes on about, he's got this really old cranky bed in his house in France, and it was my grandparents' bed, and he proudly was telling all of us that it was the bed that apparently he reckoned he was conceived in, and he told his mum this, and she'd laughed at him because he was proudly saying, I've still got the bed that I was conceived in, you know, and she said, no, that's not where you were conceived. It was actually on the park bench. And he was mortified, and I was like, well, that seems right, doesn't it?
Never assume.
Yeah, exactly. For his parents in a whole different light.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, well, that was wonderful. Thank you for letting me take
that was brilliant. You've facilitated it wonderfully, Vicky. You've got a natural talent for this. You know, you just flow and you guide, and I felt very safe, and you know, you put your own slant on all of the stuff, the journey and everything. So it's great. Well done.
No, I enjoyed it. I do particularly like doing. Well, I love doing all of it, but the past life regressions is like, I don't know, it's just exciting. It's like reading an exciting book, isn't it? Listening, you're just like, oh, what's going to happen next?
Absolutely, yeah, and that's it. Is when I do them as well? It's like, really, and sometimes you can guess what's coming.
Yeah, or it's when they go, oh, and you're like, what? Tell me, what is it? No, it was wonderful. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.